When CD Projekt Red started up a stream, which initially just displayed a bunch of code running across the screen before transitioning into some sort of upload sequence, no one really knew what to expect. We all knew it was going to be something related to their new IP, Cyberpunk 2077, but at most people expected a short trailer. What we got instead was the entire 40 minutes gameplay reveal that had been shown at both E3 and Gamescom to members of the press. Fans had been requesting this gameplay to go public ever since it was first revealed at E3, but for it to come out of the blue like this was completely unexpected. In that 40 minutes of gameplay, we got shown a lot about the world and combat of Cyberpunk 2077, and there were a lot of things that you probably missed. And in this video, we'll be taking a look at 7 things that you probably didn't pick up on in the Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay reveal. Rumor has it that if you like this video and subscribe to ArcadeCloud, CD Projekt Red will go one step further and release an open test of Cyberpunk 2077. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to ArcadeCloud, because I really want to play this game.
Number 7. Animation canceling.
Call of Duty has done a lot for the first-person shooter genre. It gave us revolutionary gameplay, incredible stories, and a fluid and fun multiplayer to waste hundreds of hours on. It also has absolutely nothing to do with CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077. So why bring it up in the first place? Well, Call of Duty games were the first place I ever really experienced the concept of reload cancel. It isn't present so much now, but in earlier Call of Duty games, if you got the timing down, you could actually shoot your gun again before the reload animation of the weapon had completed. The moment your magazine showed up as refilled, even if it was before the animation had finished, you could double tap your weapon switch button or sprint forward for a second to cancel the rest of the animation and then start firing even quicker. And it looks like some variation of that may be present in Cyberpunk 2077. In the gameplay reveal trailer, it seemed that you could actually start firing your weapon before the entire reload animation had fired through. In this clip, the main character reloads their pistol, but while it's still pointed to the air, they start shooting bullets out of it already. The character quickly snaps their aim back down to take out the enemies that are around them. Though it is funny to think that they probably just blew a hole in the roof above them with their panicky impatience to start firing again. Was this a glitch? Maybe. It probably won't be in the final version of the game, but as someone who used to love using reload cancels to speed up my gameplay back in the days of Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops, I would love it if this stayed in the game.
Number 6. Blizzard-styled weapon rarity.
While Cyberpunk 2077 is shaping up to be an awesome-looking first-person shooter, we have to remember that it is also an RPG at its heart. More and more RPGs, well, more and more games in general really, are adding deeper loot and progression into their games. This is mainly manifested as a slow spread of the popular MMO mechanic of color-graded loot. Originating in Diablo 2 and World of Warcraft, color-graded loot has spread far and wide in recent years. From FPS games like Borderlands and Fortnite to action RPGs like Assassin's Creed Origins and now Cyberpunk 2077. This MMO-styled rarity system will probably work like many others, with the lowest common tier of loot being gray, and then the colors rising up through green for uncommon, blue for rare, purple for epic, and orange or gold for legendary. There is already going to be a ton of weapons to get your hands on in Cyberpunk, and the addition of color-tiered weapons is going to make the game even more varied when it comes to taking out your enemies. And that's cool.
Number 5. Health regeneration.
In the original Cyberpunk 2020, which was a role-playing game that was played in a similar way to games like Dungeons & Dragons, combat was deadly. If you got yourself into a scrape, then you were going to be feeling it for a while. And that is something that could have been quite interesting to explore in a video game. For too long, we have been given fast regeneration of health in first-person shooter games. So perhaps Cyberpunk 2077 will be the game to break that trend. Well, if the trailers are anything to go by, maybe not. In the trailer, the main character actually regenerates health over time. In the original game, you start off with 16 hit points of health, and there is no way to raise your health other than armor. To recover from damage, you have to make a medical skill check, which requires first aid or some sort of med tech. First aid lets you bind your wounds to stop bleeding and can revive you if you are stunned. Medtech is more interesting. If a skill is used to perform major surgery and medical repairs, perhaps in 2077 you will be able to implant some sort of health regeneration tech into your body, and that's why we see health regen in the game. Alternately, to make it more friendly to video games in general, CD Projekt Red may have just decided to scrap the healing systems of the pen and paper game entirely, replacing it with a more recognizable video game health system.
Number 4. Slang and lore.
Language changes over time. I think the changing nature of language is most visible when you're a kid at school. All sorts of slang gets passed around school playgrounds and locker rooms, words seeming to change in their usage and meaning almost every week. The Cyberpunk universe is set in the future, over 50 years in the future to our current time. Language is still largely the same, but with the emergent technologies of implants, the slang is changed to reflect the world. Based off of the slang in the pen and paper game Cyberpunk 2020, Cyberpunk 2077 has its own host of language quirks that make the world feel more authentic and lived in. This is shown all throughout the trailer, with characters speaking heavily in their own dialect, using abbreviations and new words to refer to the world around them. For example, around halfway into the gameplay trailer, when you are getting some upgrades from Victor the Ripper, he makes a joke about a organic hand. Now, if you weren't in the know, it might just sound like he's talking about some sort of disease or illness. But instead, he's just referring to the fact that he has an organic hand other than some kind of technological implant. Can we bring back the Cyberpunk usages of like the 2099 universes where it's like shock it instead of, F it? Slagged, I think was one of them. Son of a glitch, that was awesome. No? Alright.
Number 3. Heavily armed. Ha!
It seems we actually learned quite a bit from V's trip to Victor the Ripper. When you visit the Ripper, you upgrade your body with implants, and one of those implants is an optical scanner that has a zoom function. The installation of what I can only assume is a brand new eyeball is pretty creepy, but when it's over, we get a look at something that is going to be absolutely incredible if we actually get to use it later on in the game. One of the many posters that are on display in the Ripper's workshop shows off a potential future body mod, a wrist blade. This thing is equal parts gross, terrifying, and mind-bendingly awesome. The mod seems to replace pretty much the user's entire lower arm with a mechanical rig, allowing the user to hide a retractable blade within their arm itself. The blade can spring out from behind its casing to be used as a weapon in what is possibly one of the coolest video game weapons I have ever seen. If we don't actually get to use this thing in Cyberpunk 2077, then I am going to be pretty disappointed.
Number 2. The hidden message.
While we might have not been expecting the gameplay reveal that CD Projekt Red threw at us on the 27th of August, viewers may have begun to expect a little something at the end of the 48-minute long trailer. When the game's trailer reveal was shown at E3, the guys at Projekt Red threw in a message in the very last frame of the trailer. It was only there for a frame, you would only see it if you were looking for it, and people were exploring something similar at the end of the gameplay reveal. And those people were right. In the very last frame of the gameplay reveal, CD Projekt Red had hidden a message for its fans, and it was a pretty lengthy one too. The message begins with the development team apologizing for keeping us waiting for so long. Though considering how awesome the game looked from the gameplay trailer, I don't think we can really complain about being kept in the dark. There are two big things that we can take away from the message. The first is that CD Projekt Red really didn't know if they should show off the gameplay demo that the press had already seen at E3 and Gamescom. Showing the public was apparently a huge moment, and they also seem to really want people's feedback from what people have seen so far. The second big thing that we can take away from this message is that what we did actually end up seeing in the gameplay reveal is incredibly subject to change. The game is, according to this message, still incredibly deep in development, and because of that, a lot of design ideas and mechanics are still in testing, and will probably be radically changed by the launch of the game. We basically shouldn't expect everything in the gameplay reveal to look exactly as it does now when the game fully releases, which is why they were so scared of showing it in the first place. After the controversy with The Witcher 3 back in 2015 and its supposed downgrades, you can kind of understand why Projekt Red would be a little bit cautious in showing off their brand new IP. So maybe don't hold out for that arm blade thing. Just maybe.
Number 1. No Life 3.
Ever since the very first Easter egg that was placed into a video game, a secret room in the Atari game Adventure, which could only be accessed through a convoluted journey with a gray dot, almost every game has featured hidden references or secret quests. Cyberpunk 2077 is likely to be no different, and eagle-eyed fans have already spotted a pretty interesting Easter egg in the gameplay reveal that actually seems to throw a little bit of shade at Valve. Half-Life 3 confirmed. It's been a meme for as long as I can remember, and clearly the guys and gals at CD Projekt Red are just about as tired as the rest of us and waiting for the next installment of the franchise. A post on Reddit by the user Burger with Fries shows off an interesting poster hanging on the wall in the game. And the title of the product it is advertising? No Life 3. With a hooded woman standing straight in the middle of the poster, who looks surprisingly like Alex Vance if you squint a little. This is clearly a reference to the game that we never got. Considering it's called No Life 3, I think you can tell that Project Red aren't exactly hopeful about us getting a new Half-Life game anytime soon. With references, giant swords coming out of your arms, an in-depth world filled with lore and slang, and an intricate weapons grading system, it seems like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a pretty awesome game, and I can't wait until we finally get our hands on it. Do you agree with our list in the video? Or were there other cool things in the gameplay reveal that we missed too? Leave a comment down below to let us know. Oh, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to ArcadeCloud to keep up to date with even more awesome videos. And also to play Cyberpunk 2077 early and in open test and stuff. Yay!